Okay, so when I first thought of this video, I had to do like a lot of research since my first time actually actually getting introduced to the Devil May Cry series was Devil May Cry 4, which I played back in like '08, back when I was in fourth grade. And next to that, it was Devil May Cry 2, which is the black sheep of the series, and I understand why. I'm not going to disagree with y'all. I understand why. But other than that, I also played DMC Devil May Cry in 2015. Actually, I didn't really play it during this release date because I wasn't like 2015 is when I was getting like allowances, so that's when I was actually allowed to like sometimes. That's why I actually had the chance to buy my own games instead of waiting for the pick three every Christmas. But besides the point, that's not the point. The point that I'm trying to make is I haven't played those games since those timestamps. I literally had to buy Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, which you see on the screen right now, and I had to buy DMC Enhanced Edition just so I can get reintroduced to the game, to both games. In my honest opinion, though, I'm not gonna lie to you. At first, I was going to say DMC is DMC is fun, but after playing both games, uh, my perspective changed. My perspective changed on like Devil May Cry 4 a little bit. I'm like a little bit less harsher than I originally was, but I still actually think I enjoyed my time playing DMC more than I did playing Devil May Cry 4. And I know what some of y'all probably saying. This boy is probably smoking crack, and I know some of y'all who's probably listening to this right now is saying that I should probably bungee jump off the highest bridge without a bungee cord. But listen to these few points before before y'all castrate my ass. All right, that's the only curse word that's gonna be in this video. Well, probably the only curse word. Gonna be not too many big curse words, but so let's get started on the first catalog right here. Okay, so when I first thought of this video, I had to do like a lot of research since my first time actually getting introduced to the Devil May Cry series was Devil May Cry 4, which I played back in like '08, back when I was in fourth grade. And next to that, it was Devil May Cry 2, which is the black sheep of the series, and I understand why. I'm not going to disagree with y'all. I understand why. But other than that, I also played DMC Devil May Cry in 2015. Actually, I didn't really play it during this release date because I wasn't like 2015 is when I was getting like allowances, so that's when I was actually allowed to like sometimes. That's why I actually had the chance to buy my own games instead of waiting for the pick three every Christmas. But besides the point, that's not the point. The point that I'm trying to make is I haven't played those games since those timestamps. I literally had to buy Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, which you see on the screen right now, and I had to buy DMC Enhanced Edition just so I can get reintroduced to the game, to both games. In my honest opinion, though, I'm not gonna lie to you. At first, I was going to say DMC is DMC is fun, but after playing both games, uh, my perspective changed. My perspective changed on like Devil May Cry 4 a little bit. I'm like a little bit less harsher than I originally was, but I still actually think I enjoyed my time playing DMC more than I did playing Devil May Cry 4. And I know what some of y'all probably saying. This boy is probably smoking crack, and I know some of y'all who's probably listening to this right now is saying that I should probably bungee jump off the highest bridge without a bungee cord. But listen to these few points before y'all castrate my ass. All right, that's the only curse word that's gonna be in this video. Well, probably the only curse word. Gonna be not too many big curse words, but so let's get started on the first catalog right here. So let's start with Devil May Cry 4. Now, like I said before, Devil May Cry 4 is not a bad game, but before I piss you off, at least hear what I have to say about what the game had to offer for me. Devil May Cry 4 is a dope story. Not gonna lie, after me watching like retrospectives of the OG games, like Devil May Cry 2, Devil May Cry 1, Devil May Cry 3, I can kind of see Nero being like this sort of fresh. I can see Nero being like this sort of fresh air. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not dismaying Dante. Dante is my boy. I love that fucking character to death. But the fact that Capcom had the balls to put Dante aside and make Nero the main character when Dante was like the main character of the series, they kind of had some balls for that. But actually, no. But this kind of was a good idea, even though I don't really care for these type of stories no more. Adding the whole dynamic between Nero and Kyrie was kind of a nice touch because there's not really too much romantic scenes or storylines in Devil May Cry series. I don't care if nobody's to sue me. Now, during the first playthrough, Nero gameplay style was awesome. His combos wasn't difficult to master, which is also another plus in my book. And mission 1 through 11 is still fun to play. Hear me out. Let me finish. It's still fun to play. With the puzzles adding a little challenge to the game. Not gonna lie, as a kid, besides some horror games I was used to playing, it made me use my head. But as an adult, I actually still had to like think about these puzzles. Like I literally had to go on YouTube for some of these puzzles. Like, come on, like why? just why? And trust me, I did not remember a thing when I played that game. So, like I said, hence YouTube was very helpful during that playthrough. Now, playing as Dante is difficult. It's fun, but extremely difficult. But that's what makes it fun, because the more you actually master his combos, the more you feel like a badass when you actually do his combos. And you probably gonna see the gameplay now, but it's like I am shitty at this game. I am shitty. But Dante did help. Dante did help like me refresh my reasons why I actually love the original Devil May Cry series as a whole, because of how fun he is, how cocky he can be, how much of a dickhead he kind of is. Not like the dickhead, like the dude who needs to shut the fuck up, but like he's the fun, lovable dickhead. That's pretty much all I have to say about Nero Devil May Cry 4. Those are the plus. There's more. Actually, no. Before that, I'm kind of going to get off the script right here. The soundtrack was amazing. I actually like Dante's theme song in this game. I also like Nero's theme song. Like, the shit is very Nero theme song is actually catchy. That's why I like, even after I forgot all about the game, I still remember the theme song of Nero, because that's how catchy that theme song was. And Nero's attitude was just, hey, the kid was relatable a little bit. Underdog who's trying to do his job just to discover like things isn't the way it is, and you have to save his girl. Okay, now let's talk about the DMC Devil May Cry, the Ninja Theory's reboot of the franchise. In its own way, it's actually fun. In all honesty, opinion, the story felt more grounded, especially since it's like a correlation of how corrupt the real world is in the game, where Mundus, the main baddie, pretty much owning everybody through debt. But on that side note, and the next thing about the next thing that I kind of like, but I don't really like too much, is Dante's edginess is alright at best, but it is cringy as hell. And his character development was at least solid, especially towards the end when he like changed his perspective on things. Alright, so the next thing, the gameplay was solid. It did learn a lot from Devil May Cry 4, and it implemented some of those things, like for instance, the way how Dante can grab and pull enemies towards him. That's a mechanic that was used for Nero in Devil May Cry 4. Peep game. And I think the one thing that it did like remove from Devil May Cry that it had in the original was the fact that it had a lot of puzzles in the original, while this one has platforming. The platforming does fit this game a lot more, since they try to make this like more fast-paced actiony than the last Devil May Cry game was. Which, to be honest, the platforming does fit this game a lot better, because, you know, I don't know, it just fits this one a lot better. Like it's better off with just platforming and no puzzles. But if they do come up with a sequel, never know. I might be proven wrong. Besides that, every mission was enjoyable. The boss battles, although they had questionable dialogue, which I will get to that later, the boss battles was awesome. Like, I enjoyed every second of it. And then the soundtrack also, the fact that the soundtrack had like, I'm not sure, I want to say dubstep, but I'm not sure if Nausea is considered dubstep. I might be wrong. But the fact that I had like dubstep, but then also had like heavy metal, and I usually don't bop heavy metal like that. I usually hate heavy metal, but with this game, it made me actually like it. I actually like the soundtrack of this game so much that with some missions, mainly 3, it made me want to like correlate my combos with the soundtrack in itself. And those 3 missions are infamously known to those who actually gave it a try. But if you didn't, then I'll suggest, if you pick this game up, try Lilith's Club, The Last Dance, and Devil Deliverance. Like those, like the soundtrack and those parts alone is dope as hell. And another side note is the DLC for this game is actually pretty awesome as well. Like, Virgil Downfall is darker than the game intended. It just is so awesome. But don't get me wrong. The new characters for Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition is actually pretty dope too, in my honest opinion. All right, no. That's pretty much all I have to cover on the good. Like both games are like equally good, but both games are equally good. Like one just being an OG and giving the fans what they wanted, especially after Devil May Cry 3, and then another bringing new fans at the table, and it's just being good overall. But now let's get to the bad part of this. So now that we're on the bad, let me tell you why both games missed the mark for me. And I'm going to start with DMC Devil May Cry, which is the most controversial one on this video. While DMC have a non-stop gameplay style that brings both newcomers and veterans back into the series, Dante's personality and his character design is kind of a reason why some fans, if not most fans, have a problem with this game, or at least one of the problems with this game. Now, okay, I already said Dante's personality. Now, and yes, he did have a character growth within the game, but it does not help that this game has little memorable moments or to be very specific and accurate, questionable dialogues at time. And on top of that, giving the OG DMC fans the finger was the nail in the coffin that made the sales as bad as it did. Hell, it kind of even made me agree with majority of the fans if this wasn't a Devil May Cry game, it probably would have been better off, and it probably would have did way better than it should have. But another reason why DMC kind of missed the mark for me is also the fact that, like, even though earlier I kind of complained how the gameplay was difficult, it kind of was like just like any difficult game like Dark Souls or, well, pretty much any Soulsborne or just any difficult game in general. That's most gamers like that challenge, and to be honest, even on the most difficult level of DMC, the game is still easy. The game is still relatively easy, especially for those who are like veterans, because they're used to playing. Because the old Devil May Cry games had like this combo system where it felt like a fighting game. Like you actually had to master these combos in order to get the perfect style, get a perfect SSS style in the game to get the perfect rank. Not only just get the perfect rank, but to get the perfect experience. And the challenge in the achievement alone, knowing that you actually know how to do these skills, is missing in this game. And then on top of that, like I said, there's the questionable dialogues. Like one of my favorite boss battles in this game, Barbara's not the one that you see now, unfortunately, which I might have to edit Futurano. There we go. All right. So in this boss battle right here, this dude literally said that Dante was giving out supernatural STDs. Like, come on. And then in the boss battle that I previously showed, it wasn't as epic as they made it to be. It was too much. As much as I like saying the F-bomb, there was too much F-bombs even for me in this game. And yes, the story is good, but the story is good, and it's like nothing really wrong with the story, because I feel like that's probably one of the saving grace of this game when you actually look at the story well enough. But that's pretty much my issue with. That's pretty much why DMC missed the mark for me. There's probably more people probably saying this game should never have existed or not, but I'm just gonna chop it up to two things. DMC, there's some fan bases that are annoying as fuck, and then there's also the fact that not every game is going to do as successful as it did, and I will explain why DMC development did as bad as it did in the first place. Now, let's talk about Devil May Cry Special Edition. To all those who like Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, please explain to me why, because I'm about to explain why this game definitely missed the mark. And I'm not talking about the original. The original had one issue with me, and it was an issue that I can oversee. The Special Edition, that's an insult in my opinion. Now, DMC4, Devil May Cry 4 came out in 2008. Like right around the time when Xbox 360 and PS3 life cycle was flourishing, and they was having more games being sold to them, so you actually had to buy one of these systems instead of continuously playing the PlayStation 2. Sorry for getting too close to the mic. The PlayStation 2, the Xbox, or the GameCube. I'm not going to talk about the Wii though, because Devil May Cry was not on the Wii at all, or I don't think any Nintendo consoles. But besides the point, Devil May Cry 4 came out in 2008. You motherfuckers had that long to fix that issue with Devil May Cry 4. You had that long to like add new levels, new boss battles, new cutscenes, new interesting dialogue choices. Even for the new characters that you was going to add in the game. But you didn't. what you decide to do is just sprinkle new characters in the game, sprinkle their little unique gameplay, and talk about how how this game is awesome. That doesn't fix the problem. Devil May Cry 4 is still an incomplete game. You, even though you can probably play devil's advocate and say that Dante's going back. Dante's just retracing the steps just to go back to Fortuna and to clean up Nero's mess. But at the same time, they even said they only had the funds of. Isino said he only had the funds, the same amount of funds that was available to him when he made Devil May Cry 3. And I think with the special edition, they could have fixed that. They could have gave Dante better levels, in my opinion. They could have gave him newer levels that fit Dante, not just a rerun of what Nero go through, especially. And then on top of that, you got 3 other playable characters. If you wasn't going to do it with Dante, you could have at least gave us more levels and missions. Y'all could have gave us more levels and missions with Lady, Trish, and especially Virgil. Virgil's story takes place a decade before. It takes place around the time Nero was conceived. So this is around before Devil May. I think either before Devil May Cry 3 or after Devil May Cry 3. I'm not sure. I don't remember the storyline too well. But the fact that y'all just kept the same levels for not only Dante to go through again, but the same level that we did with Nero that we have to go through again with Lady, with Trish, and with Virgil, out of all people, to me that is honestly an insult. That is my one major issue with this game, and that's why Devil May Cry 4 missed the mark with me. And I hope y'all do not do this with Devil May Cry 5. I really hope y'all don't, because I don't care what nobody said. That shit honestly pissed me the hell off. But hey, I know a lot of people want to defend the hell out of it. Like I said, Devil May Cry 4 is not a bad game, but but when I compare the two Devil May Cry 4 seemed like more of a slap in the face than what DMC did. But like I said, screw it. I know everybody's just on Virgil's dick, being happy. Ooh, Virgil's in the game. But okay, let's get to the last part of this video. I already know somebody probably gonna say fuck you, but whatever. That's if anybody watches. Okay, now Capcom, this is where we need to talk, because this is my issue with both games, and it's really during the development where I was pissed off the most when I did my research about it. Now, with DMC Devil May Cry 2013's Ninja Theory reboot, a lot of people was pointing a finger at Ninja Theory. They was basically saying fuck Ninja Theory to the fullest. People calling them assholes, saying DMC was a middle finger to the core fans. And yes, even though they half right, if you was to look at Ninja Theory's early design of the game, it was intended to stay true to the origin while giving the game a new look and a new style. Ninja Theory even had some better designs for Dante alone. They even had an old man. They even had an old man Dante look, which I really wish I could have found that picture, because that was a cool look. It had like a Hellboy style to it, but that's me explaining it. But now to get back on, the script. But the major issue with DMC's development, and the reason why we got the game we got, is because while Ninja Theory was trying to have a love child, trying to raise that love child to be the best it can be, you got Capcom being the parent that questions Ninja Theory's parenting skills. And because of that, because of the pressure that Ninja Theory got from Capcom, we got the game that we got. DMC is not a bad game, but if Capcom would have fully trusted Ninja Theory, I feel like we could have got a better game. I feel like DMC could have been a better fucking game. And even though we would have had Devil May Cry 5 still on his way, I would have more hope if the game would have did as good as if Capcom gave Ninja Theory the freedom to just handle the game how they was going to handle it. There would have been high expectations for a sequel for the DMC reboot. Now, let's talk about Devil May Cry 4. Besides the issues that I'm going to cover, Devil May Cry 4 was handled like a love child. That shit was handled. Itsuno pretty much handled that shit like it was his baby. And I'm going to explain the little issues here right now. So, Capcom gave Itsuno and his team from 3 the same budget as 3. So, working on the first half of the game with Nero, you can tell there was all love there. Now, there was love throughout the whole game, but with Dante's situation, and I'm not going to lie, I give Itsuno his props for just thinking, just smart and fast thinking and adding this to the story. But because the budget was the same, and it was like the same budget of, they pretty much gave Itsuno, it seemed, a budget for making a new gen console at the time, when they had the same budget to make a old gen console, and that wasn't going to work. That's why the game was rushed. That's why Dante have the same levels as Nero. And if it wasn't, and if Capcom actually gave Itsuno and his team a higher budget, I feel like Devil May Cry 4 would have been a lot better. Like, we could have got like more fleshed out combos from probably both Nero and Dante. Dante probably had better levels instead of running through the same bullshit we did with Nero. Sorry, that's no word. Okay, that's just the other thing touching the mic. But well, piece of my headphone touching the mic. But besides that, sorry about the dogs. But besides that, the budget was the issue. Budget was the reason why the game was rushed, and yes, this is a good reason why some games wound up doing bad as they do. Thankfully, Devil May Cry 4 didn't. But that's due to the fan base defending it, which is the hurt. That's due to like the Devil May Cry fan base defending it, which is the hurtful truth. Which in retrospect make both games, which it kind of makes both games like a man, if not good. I'm not gonna say all right. I'm not gonna say great. I'm just gonna say like they was good. It was good at the time they came out, for me at least. But besides that, let's get to this next part. Now, my one major compliment for both of these games, for the bullshit that both games had, it was awesome. DMC was awesome for the new and bold route that it took, despite the fact that it was being, despite the fact that basically Ninja Theory was being like put on punishment by Capcom just to make the game that Capcom wanted to make. And Devil May Cry 4 is, well, y'all already know Devil May Cry 4 is notoriously one of the best DMC games, Devil May Cry games, although it's rushed to shit because of budget wise. But another thing that I want to say that is a compliment to both games is that both games engineered the reason why we got Devil May Cry 5 and why it's good alone. And I know some people probably gonna be like, oh no, DMC had nothing to do with Devil May Cry 5 being as good as it did. Yes, it did. There are literally Oh god, I'm trying to put. I'm going off script. I'm really going off script right here, but there are mechanics. There we go. There are mechanics from the game of both DMC and Devil May Cry 4 that are in Devil May Cry 5, which is better, which is a lot better than both games. But there are mechanics from both games. Besides the slow mo, there's the whole music factor. like, hate, sorry, not sorry, but DMC is kind of the reason why Devil May Cry 5 did a good job as it did. Especially since, to point out the bad, they did not want to do another, they did not want to fuck up as DMC did. But that's pretty much what that's pretty much what I have to say. That's pretty much what I have to say about Devil May Cry 5. But in all honesty, to end this video off, DMC is a game that really didn't deserve the hate that it got. Devil May Cry 4, despite my issues with it, it deserves all the love that it got. I have no issues with both games. I just wish that both games was loved equally because they deserved it. Like, both games did their hardest. You can tell one game did more than, you can tell one game had a lot more love than the other game. But that's up to y'all to decide. Anyway, if y'all liked the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. If you aren't new, share this with your friends. Comment on what you think. Comment on if I'm wrong or if I'm right. I like to discuss things in the comment section with you guys. Oh, one more thing. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can be notified for new videos. This is your boy Rizzo saying peace out and be careful in these troubling times.